Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining our live webinar today. My name's Anna from the Continent 8 marketing team. We hope that most of you are already familiar with Continent 8, but for those who may not be, here's a brief overview. Continent 8 is a leading infrastructure and cybersecurity partner to the regulated iGaming industry. We provide award-winning and compliant global managed hosting, connectivity, cloud, AWS and cybersecurity solutions to some of the biggest names. Today, I'm really pleased to introduce you to this webinar, Vulnerability Assessments and Penetration Testing for iGaming Industry Requirements and Use Cases. In the fast evolving and highly competitive world of iGaming and online sports betting, maintaining a robust cybersecurity framework is crucial, not just for compliance, but also to proactively address the emerging threats. During this webinar, our experts, Jeremie and Tony, will delve into why VAPT is an ideal starting point for your cybersecurity strategy and regulatory compliance journey. We'll also hear real-world case studies from our customers, Alea and ODDSworks. Please note that at the end, we will have a short Q&A session. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the questions section and we will try and answer as many as possible towards the end of the session. So I will hand you over now to Jeremie and Tony, who will introduce themselves and kick off the presentation.
Thank you very much, Anna. Hello everyone, live from London here for me. I am Jeremie Kanter, the Director of Regulatory Affairs at Continent 8 Technologies, driving as well the licensing and regulatory intelligence efforts for C8 Secure, our security practice.
Yep. Hi everyone, I'm Tony Engel. I'm a Principal Solutions Architect with C8 Secure, located in Florida, US. And my role is to translate requirements from customers into solutions.
Thank you, Tony. So I think as a good starting point, a clear definition of VAPT is actually necessary. So Tony, how can we best describe what VAPT is?
Yeah, so I think our most concise definition is shown here. It's a comprehensive set of cybersecurity services that help organizations identify, assess, and mitigate vulnerabilities in their IT infrastructure, their applications, and their networks.
Thank you, Tony. So VAPT is clearly here the starting point for the industry stakeholders to keep their house in order. And it stands firmly on two critical pillars: compliance and security. So this is why VAPT's impact is so crucial for companies as well as regulators. By ensuring integrity of companies' systems and its compliance with regulations related to data protection, privacy, and fairness, it guarantees simple regulatory compliance. It also enables fast execution. VAPT allows for a quick entry into new markets. And mostly it also preserves reputation. It protects against incidents that could damage customer trust, business revenues, and ultimately corporate reputation.
Excellent points.
That's why customers turning to C8 Secure for their VAPT service are looking to actually develop what you call, Tony, and you educated me about it, hardened security posture, as we perform the VAPT to identify weaknesses and then remediate so the environment is hardened. So this hardened security posture is reflected in multiple aspects. First and foremost, an IT infrastructure assessment. That's the starting point. The tracking, monitoring, evidencing of remediation efforts quarter on quarter, proving those needed incremental improvements. The continuous aspect of this posture is critical. Security enhancements ensure a comprehensive coverage, a consistent implementation, and a continuous delivery and monitoring of the ongoing security improvements. This hardened security posture is also evidenced in the implementation of defense in depth by having various security controls in place that are actually tested by the VAPT as well. And those controls must be augmented by constantly ensuring customer assurance and reputation management. Only such a hardened and comprehensive security posture will guarantee a sustainable competitive advantage, reflective of, again, this house in order and what we can call a proper infrastructure hygiene. So at Continent 8, we are privileged to service the most prestigious industry technology companies with comprehensive cybersecurity audit and vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So let's hear from ODDSworks about those security services that we delivered as part of their suppliers licensing requirements in Pennsylvania. So I'm extremely grateful for Stephen DeMar's testimony and for his vote of confidence. Let's listen to him now.
My name is Stephen DeMar. I'm the Executive Vice President and one of the founders of ODDSworks. We are gaming people that did land-based for years. When I say years, probably 30 years. My brother and I retired about 6 years ago, and the opportunity for online gaming we thought was so exciting and so interesting that we literally hung up our retirement shoes, went back into business, got licensed, got personally licensed, got our company licensed, took our relationships that were very, very deep, made operator agreements, and are now operating as an aggregator in North America, where we are bringing third-party content to the casinos online, very much like an independent record company. Well, our original thinking was that we were looking at it, we're from the government and we're here to help you. That was our first knee-jerk reaction when we found out we had to do certain compliance testing. Our team had been through the absolute brutal and painful process of personal, corporate, and even technical licensing. So we ODDSworks started with kind of an adversarial mindset of where is the end? When does this compliance stuff stop? So we originally thought that this was just yet another obstacle that we were going to have to overcome if we wanted to be in the gaming business. And again, they kept reminding us that a gaming license is a privilege. A gaming license is a privilege, not a license. If you want one, here's what you have to do. So although our technology was already compliant with PA cybersecurity, we knew we needed to perform a security audit on an annual basis, which requires pretty detailed mapping and a significant time investment. The primary challenge was identifying the right company that was capable and approved by PV, Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board, because they are a little picky in terms of who they approve and are able to work efficiently. Both time and cost-wise, we were really concerned because we were a startup, and we evaluated several companies and finally decided and chose C8. As you can imagine, security standards are a moving target. They are written one day, but they become iterated almost by the hour, and they're a moving target. We, ODDSworks, unfortunately, are responsible for hitting that target, even if they change the playing field, much like baseball, where they move the fences, where today 300 foot is a home run, but overnight they made it 320 feet, and we have to comply and adapt. So we've updated and we've modernized our software to address the vulnerabilities, but quite frankly, Continent 8 has really been at the switch watching that what we are doing is continuously in compliance because the requirements just keep changing, and your expertise validates the changes. We also depend that if we have moved off the target, you will push us over. And the Gaming Commission is very, very responsive to that. They understand that it's not a cast in concrete business, and that as long as everyone is trying and really making the effort to continuously either you're a good guy or you're a bad guy in this business, and we want to really be one of those good guys where they go, don't worry about ODDSworks. They're just always on top of their game, and a lot of it is because Kanter has made us look pretty good. Okay, the vulnerabilities that we encountered were very, very small on the technical basis. But what they did is they showed us business cases and business risks that we may or may not have evaluated. Things that, again, we are dealing with huge amounts of money in terms of processing games. If there's openings, if there's weaknesses, if there's attackability, the outcome could just be devastating and literally company ending. So Kanter forced us to say, hey, here's a lot of different things you need to be aware of, and here's a lot of different things that could happen if you don't do this or if you do this. So a lot of legitimate businesses, primarily rated to third party, were resolved, and we required a lot of our third-party developers to make upgrades to become compliant with us, to fall in line with Kanter 8's recommendations. Again, all we want to do is make our business better. We are receptive to change. We want to be the best, but that took us a while to get our brain around the fact that Kanter 8 was our friend, not like an IRS audit. Okay. The process reinforced our cybersecurity posture by validating existing measures, refining operational processes, and ensuring that our systems were well prepared to meet the evolving regulatory and security demands. In the real world, our system has been the subject of several different security attacks. So far, we are proud to report, and our fingers are crossed, that thanks to ODDSworks' incredible team, and our partners at C8, our system has really stood tall like an oak tree, and we've had no problems. So we are grateful for the partnership, and we look forward to many years together with Kanter 8.
Okay, thank you, Steve and ODDSworks, for sharing their experience using C8 Secure VAPT to comply with their licensing obligations in Pennsylvania. Tony, it's actually really an interesting case study of a service that you and your team have delivered, because the set of security requirements in Pennsylvania are indeed unique and specific to Pennsylvania itself. And Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board is, in my view, possibly one of the best positioned regulation when it comes to security advocacy. Their dialogue with the industry is notable and helps them adapt and evolve their regulations in very positive ways. So our regulatory team have analyzed the state of regulatory cybersecurity requirements across each and every jurisdictions in the US. And this analysis helps us deliver a fully fit-for-purpose service, as differences between the requirements can still be notable amongst those states. And not all states have the same approach and applies the same care to cybersecurity maturity. So what we see here from our analysis is that a minority of US states involved in regulated iGaming or regulated online sportsbook event wagering, as it is called also, are still only requiring what can be considered as generic or basic set of security requirements, such as training, security awareness, and not much more, unfortunately. But that's just a minority. More than a third of the US states regulations are already mandating what we can call specific requirements, such as targeted services like VAPT or audit, or both together, in addition to training and security awareness. And finally, on a positive note, half of the jurisdictions that we have analyzed have established a mandatory security framework designed at ensuring a high level of cybersecurity maturity, with enhanced checks required, usually a combination of VAPT, audit, as well as DDoS protection and mitigation, and also vulnerability assessment scans, with, of course, the mandatory requirements on training and security awareness. And the list of services goes on. So it is a very good and positive trend for the industry, but this is not something that we can wait on. The hacking cases that we see now and then more and more frequently are a reminder that those requirements are actually a necessity for our industry.
Yeah, Jeremy, I think this emphasizes the complexity in dealing with multiple jurisdictions. So you need to find a partner that's going to help you navigate this effectively, like C8.
Absolutely. So in this multi-jurisdiction environment, Tony, how can we describe what makes VAPT a bundled solution for customers?
Yeah, so at C8, we break them down into 3 categories as shown here. The first is the vulnerability assessment, which acts like a security health check. It's used to identify possible vulnerabilities, hopefully before they're exploited. The techniques include both automated tools and manual testing by seasoned engineers. A full vulnerability assessment should be performed yearly, with additional vulnerability scans using automated tools more frequently. For example, maybe quarterly or even monthly. Penetration testing is the second component. It's typically done yearly, but could be done more frequently. Many organizations perform additional pen tests after major upgrades or changes to their workloads or systems. These tests combine specific tools coupled with a VAPT engineer's experience to try to actively exploit vulnerabilities. So not just identify them, but try to exploit them on a system, but without impacting the system negatively. And then finally, reporting and remediation. This provides reports and prioritizes recommendations for remediation, along with any retesting if necessary. If we dig in a little bit deeper, the vulnerability assessment, well, automated scanning is a component via industry accepted tools. Some of them are listed here on the screen. Conducting the manual vulnerability assessment is a critical portion. You don't want to simply rely on just automated scanning tools. You need to have a seasoned VAPT engineer performing this type of work that has experience in manually identifying complex vulnerabilities that might not be caught by automated tools. Good reporting with ranked vulnerabilities is also important. You want to know what to remediate first and how to develop a schedule to tackle lower priorities over time. And it is important to note, you hit on it earlier, Jeremy, that not all environments are perfect at all times, right? The key is continuous improvement and implementing a proper risk management strategy. Penetration testing is next. We believe that one of the most important components in a pen test is the test plan. So this defines all the rules of engagement, helps reduce any surprises or unintentional impacts. It's important to plan this out, things like what day of week, what times are important, informing the team that the work is started or finished, understanding if we're performing gray box or black box testing. So there's lots of variables, and there's a bit more risk, of an impact if done improperly, right? A good pen test is going to look at both internet-facing or external assets and internal systems, and the VAPT engineers will attempt to exploit and gain access to the systems, but typically not in a manner that will impact normal operations. At the end of this phase, a documentation is produced that will feed into the final reporting. And at the end of the engagement, reports and recommendations for remediation are delivered. These should be carefully reviewed by all parties and a remediation plan developed. Obviously, you want to prioritize any deficiencies and use your risk planning to determine the best fixes. We can also retest as a key component here, especially if there's a simple configuration error or there was a misunderstanding during the planning phase. So we can go back and retest portions of this. Now we want to take a moment to hear from Alea Play about a VAPT that we recently performed for them as part of their licensing requirements. We're excited to partner with Eduard and the Alea team, so let's hear from them now.
I'm Eduard. I'm the CTO at Alea. I joined in Alea 5 years ago. And basically, it's a B2B company that we developed a casino game aggregator that allows to casino to have more than 15,000 games with more than 150 software providers with a single, robust, and scalable API. So that concept for us, it's very important that all the software that we develop has these principles. One of our main purposes in Alea is to provide a secure API. And to achieve that, it's not enough to say it, You need to constantly prove that all of your work, all of your code that you develop follows that principle and goes with that direction in terms of security. So the challenge we faced in Alea is 5 years ago, we had the opportunity to start from scratch the B2B project, and we developed this code in Amazon Web Service, in the cloud, using microservice. So the challenge here is we have more than 100 microservices with different technologies, using different databases, with different queue systems, and to have all of these connections with using in a secure way, it's a big challenge. So I think that is the important part of the challenge we had in Alea. And it's very important that, how I said before, that these interactions and all the process we developed are secure and scalable. So both concepts goes in the same direction, because it's very important for clients to give this technology in that way. Here, it's one important thing is we are managing more than 17,000 requests per second. So you need to ensure that all the transactions end successful. So for that, it's very important that our platform needs to be very robust and secure, because with this volume of transactions, it means that our casinos or customers can lose a lot of money in a very short time. So it's very critical, it's our core, to develop processes and features with the principle of security. So security is always one of the core of our business. Well, basically, a bad process is about validating that our code and our services are protected against SQL injection, broken authentications, sensitive data exposure, cross-siting scripting, these kind of things. So it's very complex. So to validate that, you need experts in that particular matters. So you need persons that are experts on security, because we need to provide this secure and reliable API for the customers. So we trust with Continent 8 because Continent 8 has two angles, that they are experts and specialists in security, and on the other hand, they are experts in the iGaming. They work with iGaming industry. So for us, is the best partner we can have, because they merge the concept of security and the concept of iGaming. So for us, this is the key. Yeah, first of all, it's very important to know the severity of the vulnerabilities and the problems that we have. For example, in terms of security, you can have issues like there are critical, high, medium, or low. So for example, the critical ones are issues that you need to solve as soon as possible, because the service you are providing is compromised. So this kind of vulnerabilities, it means that you need to fix as soon as possible. For example, if we are talking about low issues, are not urgent and you need to fix, but it's not necessary to solve for the next day. So you can go in short or medium term. So fortunately, when we did the audit with Continent 8, we didn't have any critical and high issues. So it's a very good news. In summary, I always say that you need to understand the typology of the vulnerabilities, the categories that exist, and if it's something critical or high, it means that you need to work, and you need to work immediately. Yeah, for me, one of the bigger reasons to complete VAPT service is to avoid relaxation in the team in terms of security. You need to always pay attention in security problems, because every day, every second, every minute, hundreds of vulnerabilities are introduced in the technology, and a lot of people are ready to use against our interest. So it's very happy that we count with companies like Continent 8 that help us to continue growing and work with security. But we need to continue always working on in terms of security. You can't relax on that.
Excellent. We want to thank Eduard and the Alea team. We're excited about a strong relationship that we have right now going forward. So I think we need to wrap things up here. So some best practices.
And I was muted. Sorry, I was just saying that it was really eye-opening, because Eduard was absolutely spot on in describing the security needs and the threats of this type of very complex technological environment and solution that they put together. So really impressed.
Yep. So some best practices. At a minimum, organizations should be looking to perform VAPTs annually. As we've discussed, there could be reasons to perform these more often, for example, after major upgrades or changes. The other portion or piece could be compliance audits that may be required by regulatory bodies. Finally, it's important to leverage a layered security approach. You want to combine your VAPTs with other defensive security controls like IDS, IPS, or WAP, EDR, MDR, and manage SOC SIM. The key is you want defense in depth with your security program, not just a VAPT, but VAPT with other defensive components. I think that takes us, Anna, to questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Tony and Jeremie, and obviously a huge thank you to ODDSworks and Alea for joining us. Just before we pop into questions, I'm just going to launch a poll. This is an offer for those who've joined us today to have a free cybersecurity assessment. So I'm just going to launch that now. If people can vote, that'll be on the screens for the next kind of 10-15 seconds. So we will enable people to vote for a little bit, and then we will move on to some questions. Apologies if we don't get to everything in time. We will follow up with people individually that have asked questions. So let me just close that down for a sec. And we will start with, obviously ODDSworks was an example of Pennsylvania. Someone here has asked, is the multiple jurisdictions for VAPT testing unique to iGaming?
I can start answering on that one. It is unique in a sense to iGaming. Most enterprise organizations have centralized workloads, usually that would be deployed and tested again. iGaming, online sportsbook have unique requirements, especially in the US, especially because of the Wire Act, where each state is a unique jurisdiction. That means that operators need to adhere to individual regulations, which typically requires multiple VAPTs per year across their footprint, spanning all the multiple jurisdictions. And if I may add to this question, I think how feasible, how realistic is it to deliver a concomitant multi-jurisdiction VAPT testing to, let's say, the 50 states will be covered? Can a customer require the 50 states to be tested at the same time? How would it work?
Yeah, we do concurrent testing and with some of our customers now, typically around the multi-jurisdictional requirements. And we can get some economies of scale there, right? So, but we can't cut corners. There's no rubber stamping. We can't take their word that the environment is identical, even if they've got automation techniques in place. You could still have a scenario where somebody in IT, I'm guilty of this early in my career, spun up a VM or built a box and placed it out there for some testing and forgot about it, right? So we have to scan as if it's a fully new environment, but we can use things like documentation and scripting and just the knowledge of the environment with our VAPT engineers to kind of get some economies of scale there.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Anna, we are stuck with multi-jurisdictions due to the specificities of our industry.
Indeed. Okay, another one that's come in. Can Continent 8 support with VAPT seasons? Tony, I think maybe that's one for you.
Sure, we do this. So we support a few customers that have what's called a VAPT season. And what that is, instead of just having their VAPTs when they have multiple jurisdictions, instead of just having them spread out through the year, they concentrate them in a period of time, 1 month, 3 months. So we will attack, maybe 5 to 10 different jurisdictions, whatever they're operating in, all within a small time frame, so that they're not spread out and they're not dealing with VAPTs all year long, right? They have a 1 to 3 month period that they do it every year for each of the jurisdictions they're in, and we can definitely accommodate these types of scenarios.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Probably just conscious of time, so one more question. Are there any unique regulators that require a special process for VAPT engagement?
Again, I think they are all unique, but if we look at the case of New Jersey, for example, New Jersey require a very detailed and specific statement of work to be submitted to the New Jersey Department of Gaming Enforcement prior to the VAPT work. So both our regulatory team and security team work closely with the regulator and each regulator to ensure that we perform exactly what is required for that jurisdiction. So to be concrete, if the statement of work is not comprehensive enough and not to the standards of the regulation of the regulator, they will not accept it. So we have to work and to be extremely precise and familiar with the level of the requirements from those states.
I'll just interject. Jeremie's team keeps us on track with all this. I mean, I think it's, you know, multiple parties, right? We do the work of actually doing the testing, but Jeremie's team ensures that we know what we're doing, you know, that we know the regulations. So it's a great fit.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think that's probably all we've got time for today, but obviously thank you again to Jeremie and Tony and to our customers Alea and ODDSworks for supporting us today. If you are looking for a cybersecurity partner to fortify your organization, obviously Continent 8 and C8 Secure are here to help. Please do reach out. You will receive a copy of this recording in a few days, and to those obviously that weren't live attendance today, they will also receive a copy. So please do get in touch, and if we haven't managed to answer your questions, we will be in touch soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.